This is Cole.
This is Echo.
And we are going to talk to you now about the Niyamas. The way that I remember this is I say niyama because it's the way that we treat ourselves. So it's the internal observances that we have towards ourselves and how we treat each other. Or treat
So like
ourselves.
the yoga guidelines, like the yogic 10 commandments. So we're on the last 5. We just did the yamas and now we're on the niyamas.
Yeah. So.
All right, I'm going to start the time. So if you haven't watched the first one yet, we are trying to do this in 10 minutes. So 2 minutes to each. So we're just getting the essence.
The very small essence of it.
It's a challenge. We're challenging ourselves.
Yes.
All right.
Here we go. All right. Tapas. So purification through discipline. Tapas is not the Spanish hors d'oeuvres that you will eat on the street. Those are tasty though. But tapas has to do with our internal fire and our discipline. So it's our drive, it's our ambition, it's our dreams. It's a little bit of, I mean, if you think about where we get our ego, our personality, it's who we are in the world. It's like what pushes us to get out there and do something.
Mm-hmm. And, I've always had a challenging relationship with the word discipline. And what I found is that, freedom without some type of framework is chaos. So I look at tapas as a framework to freedom. Like, how can I choose certain ways to be in the world, certain ways to be in my life and my practice that create expansion? So I do these things, I'm dedicated, and I'm disciplined to do these certain practices because it creates more freedom. And that feels like much more digestible and something that I can get down with.
Well, and tapas has to do with our daily sadhana as well. So we have a spiritual practice. This is what sadhana means in Sanskrit. Don't worry about all these Sanskrit words. They will be on the screen. But sadhana is the way that we show up each day. So that can be a 2-minute practice. It could be a 5-minute practice. It could be sitting on your mat and meditating. It could be moving through yoga, whatever it is for you. But showing up for yourself and having that internal willpower or that fire to just be there for yourself. We show up for everyone else in our lives. So sometimes we need to just step back and show up for ourselves. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Okay, next.
All right, next. We've got Santosha, contentment.
This was also a really challenging one for me because actually I had a least favorite word in high school. I'm a big debater. If you know me, you definitely know this about me. But we used to talk about like our least favorite word, and a conversation that I would have a lot was that my least favorite word was contentment, because even the way I said it, like my face changed a little bit.
She turns it into contentment.
Contentment.
I'm content.
Because I thought that it meant like giving up, not having drive,
Defeat.
not having desire, because I'm a very desirous creature and I want things, I want experiences, I want to grow and I want to expand. And I thought the contentment was the opposite of that it was like an apathy. But it's not. A contentment is an acceptance and a welcoming and a like, this is good. Mm-hmm. And it took me a while to realize what that was. Whenever I heard that whenever I was first starting yoga and I read that this was something I was supposed to be doing, I was like, no.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Contentment, again, these are very difficult in modern day society. We live in a space that tells us that we need to be more, that we need to do more, we need to have more. So it's very much that we're told we need to be content, but we're shown that we need to do a lot more, that we need to be, we need to just be active. And so contentment is about being able to participate in a very chaotic and overstimulated world, but also in a space of being a little bit detached from all of the things that means. So being connected on a shallow surface, but not going so deep as to the point where it ruins our level of happiness, where we can't be happy with the house that we have or the husband that we have or the children or, even the clothes that we wear or the cars that we drive or the food that we eat. There's so much now that is telling us that we need to do more and be more, and we have to step back and just say, no, this is okay. I'm good here. What I have is fine.
And then also the more that we look into our biological makeup as well is that we are creatures that have need dopamine. We want this dopamine, and dopamine is the seeking. And, we used it in the caves. We needed that to get us out in order to hunt for food. It's like you need a desire to keep going. But it's turned into now, we're still in this animal body that's living in this modern society. And now it's like more money, more clothes, more something. But our actual body is
more achievement,
feeding this.
More identity.
And the marketing around us and all of this. So again, that goes back to what I was talking about, the if only a little bit more, a little bit more. And this is this dopamine loop. And the more that we learn about ourselves and our biology and all of that, we can use kind of the intellect to navigate around some of the instinct.
Yeah. All right, where are we at? Okay. Whew, we're going over. All right, next, Saucha, purity. So, purity is a tough one.
This is another one I have
It's
a
a
problem
tough one. Yeah, I don't like this one. No, purity is a tough one, but my interpretation of Saucha is that we're pure of heart and that we're pure of mind and that we can be transparent when we mess up or when we have transgressions, and that we could take a step back and we can admit when we're wrong, we can apologize, we can do our best to show up better each day. And it's the same on the yoga mat. With Saucha, we want to show up to our yoga mat ready to sit with confidence and with Santosha, with our contentment, to just be and to allow things to come up. If thoughts come up that disturb us and we have this mental clutter, we just allow that to be and we allow it to naturally cleanse itself, and we don't grasp to needing to control things. So the purification and the purity of Saucha is about understanding our imperfections and understanding our human nature and detaching from the need to control it and just being pure of heart and allowing ourselves to go through that process in a pure way.
And I kind of see it, I have 20 seconds. I see it as an integrity of like how I'm going to align my thoughts, my actions, and my words. And am I showing up there in all of the different ways? Keeping my side of the street clean, seeing my part in things, not always pushing things out. We normally have a tendency to be like a blamer,
accountability,
a self-criticizer, minimizer. There's all these certain ways that we kind of have tendency towards, and it's being able to see that and to know that and to kind of like realign. We're always coming out of alignment. Balance is a constant process, but that we're always coming back and we're always working on that. Okay.
You go, girl. With 4 seconds. Well,
Yeah,
we're good. So Svadhyaya, self-study. This is probably one of our favorites, actually, when it comes to Niyamas. Yeah, nerds. So Svadhyaya, plus it's just fun to say, Svadhyaya. But self-study. So always being curious, always remaining humble, always remaining a student. So even when you become a teacher or you become a leader, writer, whatever it is in your life where you kind of step up to the plate and you have a voice that's heard and that people are actually listening to, you want to step back and you want to always remain humble enough to hear what other people have to say, and you want to learn from people's stories, and you want to read books, and you want to, if you care about something, you truly care about it, you want to hear both sides of it. You want to be able to step into that space where you hear both sides and you don't become so set in your ways. So yeah, remaining curious is a big one for me.
Yeah, beautiful. That's one of my favorite attributes is curiosity in myself and in others. And another thing about self-study is you're studying, but then also studying the self. So this is what we're doing when we're on our mat and we're in meditation, and we're really we can do it in all different ways. I'm studying myself. What is going on? Creating this relationship with myself. What are the sensations? What are the feelings? What are my patterns? What are my tendencies? What are my obstacles? So really kind of turning the mind on itself and digging deep. And it is endlessly fascinating and scary and funny and light and challenging. And it's beautiful.
Now because you said that, it reminds me of one of my favorite scientists says, all research starts with me search. So it's the same thing. It's me search. So that's exactly the only reason that we know any of this is because we really needed to hear it at one point. Okay, we've gone over on that one.
Okay.
ISHVARA Pranidhana. ISHVARA Pranidhana. Surrender to the higher. So Isvara Pranidhana, the way that I see this, we all have different belief systems. We're not even going to get into religion.
Don't have time for that.
No dogma here. Whatever you believe is what you believe. But I think that we can all agree that there is something higher than our sense of self. So there is that deeper sense of self, the big self, that we feel is universally connected in a way. And so Isvara Pranidhana is about not being so caught up in who you are and what roles that you play that you forget your connection to everything around you. You forget your connection to the earth beneath you that supports you, the plants that feed you, the farmers that produce the food, that transport the food, that carry the food, people that are cutting it up. There's so much in this interdependent system that we are connected to. And we're such a small little cog in the whole system that it's really beautiful in Isvara Pranidhana to take a step back and say, I do matter, but so does every single thing else.
Yeah, and I kind of like to look at it as like being right-sized. Seeing our place in the world and seeing the symbiosis, and also that we're part of like a cog in a wheel, or this minuscularity. I just made that word up.
I feel like that's a word.
Beautiful. Minuscularity. I like words. It's pretty. But being right sized, we get so caught up in these horse blinders and not realizing like, oh, just letting things be, being part of, rather than trying to navigate and control. Like, regardless of what your belief is, that we're part of a greater system. Mm-hmm. And it can be really that simple. This is another one that I've had a hard time with. I tend to argue against everything, but this has, falling into ease with wonder. We don't need to know.
I like that. And so one thing to close this up with the Niyamas is that it is the second branch of yoga. And so the first starts with our external communication and with how we treat one another as a system, and the Niyamas are the internal observances. So first comes everything else, and then second comes ourselves. And this isn't generally the way that we live our lives. So it's really beautiful to see that even 5,000 years ago, that, you know, when we had the 8 branches, or when we had the 8 limbs of yoga, that first, that was the most important thing, was how we treated one another. Then it circled back to us, and then we begin to move up. So as you move throughout your time and self-study and start to learn about these concepts, remember that it's very important to see others first, and your identification with them and the way that you communicate, and then bring it back to that curious space of surrender to something that's higher than yourself. Yeah.
And I'll give a book recommendation. That there's a really beautiful book, aptly named The Yamas and the Niyamas. It's by Deborah Adele, and it's a really beautiful book, and she makes it really digestible, and maybe not digestible as 2 minutes a piece, but very digestible and much more thorough. And it's a really beautiful read if you're interested in more. So,
thank you guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.